Most juniors are learning the wrong tools first. You don't need to be advanced, you just need to show understanding. Because one proof task, if done well, can separate you from 200 other applicants. Can you imagine that? You open a marketing job ad and it reads like a shopping list. Canva, Adobe, email automation, SEO, GE4, Excel, and somehow this is entry level. That's not a job ad. That's just a panic spiral with a salary attached to it. Welcome back to Marketing Career Ladder, the show for students and early career marketers who want real answers. Each episode is one question, one guest, and one clear next step for you guys. And today's question is one I get asked constantly. Which tools should you learn first? And how do you prove you can use them when you have no experience yet? My guest today is Natalie Dimitrova, marketing and comms executive at TAC Healthcare. She's been through the junior phase for real, and she's going to tell you what tools actually come up in month one, what you can safely ignore for now, and how to build your proof when your CV is basically a blank page. Stay to the end because I will pull out the 3 things Natalie said that actually matter and one proof task you can finish in 7 days. Something that turns I've heard of social media marketing into here's what I've built.
My journey was a little bit different. When I graduated, I was already taken more as a like a professional rather than just like freshly graduated student. I was marketing assistant for one of the biggest like oil companies here in Aberdeen. There's a lot of keywords, but keywords specific to the job role you're applying for. Marketing job is not a graphic designer job. Don't turn your eye on like Word and Excel. You'll be surprised how often I use Excel on a daily basis.
But if I don't understand something, take a screenshot of a thing that I don't understand, put it in the ChatGPT, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Actually working in the environment of the corporate environment, it's harder than actually doing the job.
First of all, I would love to start our conversation about that crucial moment in your life when you just got hired for your first marketing job.
Yeah.
What was it like? Could you walk us step by step? What was the real sequence like?
So my journey was a little bit different from, I guess, the regular student because I was doing a lot of like placements, internships during my university time. And even while I was doing my master's degree, I was already working full time as a marketing assistant. So I would say that when I graduated, I was already taken more as a like a professional rather than just like freshly graduated student.
And what was the full-time job again? Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
So I was marketing assistant for one of the biggest like oil companies here in Aberdeen.
Okay.
And I was doing employer branding marketing. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
very
All right.
different from the regular like generalist marketing job because I was working very closely with like HR teams and I was supporting them to not only improve the brand awareness of the company, but improve it for the target audience of people who want to apply for jobs.
Yes, I know.
So it's
That's
like
great.
a different type of target group that you're trying to advertise to. I was doing a variety of jobs from like social media posts, posters, also organizing like events, like recruitment events. It was interesting. It was definitely interesting to work from that side of the business, more internal marketing rather than external. And it was a huge shock for a student to work in a
Yes, I
such
can
a
imagine.
corporate environment. Yeah.
Let me guess, is it Petrofac you were working
No.
with? No? Okay, well, I tried my best. But again, how did you get hired there? What did you offer them? What was something in your CV or LinkedIn? What stood out the most for them?
Not sure, to be honest. I think they were trying to expand more like their student presence. And they were just giving a lot of opportunities to students. And because this job for like a marketing assistant for the recruitment team, it was something new for them. They were like trying it out. So they were very willing to give the opportunity to a student, especially to a master student who has a little bit more experience.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's almost like a graduate program, but it wasn't a graduate program, it was like a proper permanent job.
If you remember again, one simple thing that you changed in your CV or LinkedIn that helped you get hired, was it like one thing that you can point?
I would say use a lot of keywords, but keywords specific to the job role you're applying for. For example, if you're looking for a job as a content creator, try to include words connected with the software you're using, or something connected with graphic design, or specific platforms that you've created content for. Don't include stuff like I can work with MailChimp, for example.
Yeah.
Try to include keywords that are relevant to the job. And a lot of the recruiters are either like skimming the job, the CV, or they're using like tools that are scanning for exactly these keywords. So it's very important to be,
Yeah,
heavy
absolutely. That's good that you mentioned the software, because we're going to move on to the next section, and the actual topic of today's video is about the tools, and people feel overwhelmed with the amount of tools we have in the market there and how to use them, which one is the best. And the first question I wanted to ask you, what tools did you use when you were just starting out in your career?
When I was starting in marketing, I definitely had a good knowledge of the Adobe suite, so anything like Photoshop, Illustrator, even a little bit of Premiere Pro, just because I used it when I was doing my bachelor degree. I think that's essential, as well as Canva, because obviously everybody uses Canva. It's like the simplest, easiest tool that...
It's definitely a to-go tool.
Exactly. And I think that's pretty much covers it for the side of like design and content creation. People are happy to see that you have some knowledge in this, like using these tools. I wouldn't say that it's important and essential to show like this proficiency using them, because marketing job is not a graphic designer job. You don't, on a daily basis, you don't do this like heavy graphics. So as long as you can show some understanding of the tools, that's enough. Anything else, I would say definitely don't turn your eye on like Word and Excel. People think that that's nothing connected with marketing, but you'll be surprised how often I use Excel on a daily basis, and it's marketers work with data. And
absolutely, that's right. Out of all of those tools that you've mentioned, and perhaps maybe you could think of anything else as well, what people should avoid at the beginning?
When you're starting on a junior position, definitely it's not need to know Google Analytics, for example, in its full capacity. Just because on junior roles they usually don't have the opportunity to work with Google Analytics, and that's something for later. So when you start out, just you can avoid that one for sure.
So the Google Analytics is definitely not the thing to go to first.
And another thing is, when you start your junior position, then you can ask either your boss, your manager, somebody in the team to walk you through Google Analytics and explain you the basics, because at least in my experience, it's easier to learn this tool when you are actually practicing it and have real life examples, rather than studying it in university or again in college and have just the theoretical side of it, or sign up for some short course online. So it's much easier when you're actually in the job and then start working with this.
Okay, makes sense actually. But sometimes I've heard people saying as well that, oh, I just got this new position, everything seemed to be lovely and everything seemed to be okay until I actually asked for help, and people were just like, well, you're the marketer, you applied for it, why not you just learn it yourself? What would you do in this situation? Would you go to YouTube?
Yeah, definitely try to find some resources online, either like some YouTube tutorials, plenty of those, or I don't know, some short courses. For example, like last year I wanted to upskill and I wanted to learn more about SEO. So I actually asked my manager, and he didn't have such a good knowledge like exactly in SEO. Like he knew the basics, but he knew that he won't be able to explain to me perfectly. So he was like happy enough to provide me the opportunity to like upskill and develop. So yeah, people shouldn't be shy to
exactly. Yes, we actually covered vulnerability as a part of the previous episode with Sarah. We talk about how you can actually position yourself as a trustworthy person if you like show vulnerability, that you don't know something or you're like scared of something. That's completely fine to do, as long as you're true to yourself and to others.
Exactly, and also people shouldn't assume that just because you got hired for a job you can do everything. Like again, marketing is such a various role. So
exactly, it's really, really hard to find at least one person who knows absolutely everything about marketing. Everyone is learning constantly. We all know how important to have a portfolio. It doesn't really matter what kind of industry you're in, creative industries, I don't know, you're a lawyer or banker, whoever you are, you need to have a proof of your work. If someone is looking for a portfolio platform, let's say Card, Notion, perhaps Canva, as we mentioned earlier, what would you recommend?
I personally use Canva just because I work as a generalist, so I needed a platform that I can combine all of these examples, and Canva was the easiest one to use and making like stunning visuals as well. One thing that I really enjoy in Canva is that you can publish your portfolio as a website for free, and it's easy
Yeah.
to use. You can share the link easy with potential employers. So yeah, I would recommend Canva, but really depends on the type of work you do. If you're doing more like content creation or like even UX design, something like that, I know a lot of people use Behance, so that's a good one as well. For that.
Perfect. This is the game around here, guys. Please take notes. And if you don't take notes, there's going to be a link in the description down below provided by me and Natalie. We're going to create a template that you're going to be able to use and obviously get better at tools that you want to get better at. Before we dive into the most interesting section of today's interview and today's episode, I have only one rule. There is no holding back. We're going to give them the blueprint on how to get better at tools use, what kind of tools to use, and how often to use them. If somebody decides to learn one analytics or reporting tool within, let's say, 30 days, what would it be?
Well, definitely Google Analytics.
Google Analytics, okay.
There's no company that won't need Google Analytics. If you have a website, if you do some business and you're online, you definitely need Google Analytics. It gives you so many insights about website traffic, user behavior, conversion rates, leads, anything you need as a marketer to gain these insights and to improve your marketing strategy.
Well, moving to the next question, if, let's say, how somebody can go from saying, well, I've heard about GA4, I've heard about Google Ads, or perhaps some other SEO tools, to the moment where he can or she can say, well, I can put it to work. I know how to do it and I can work with it.
It's very important, in my opinion, to feel comfortable in the job, to be able to play around with all these tools in a controlled environment. So when you have the support of your team, your manager, your boss, and give you just almost like a sandbox to play and to work the different tools within the platforms, that's really helpful.
How would you approach it if you were a student, for example? Because I know, well, Google Analytics provides you the data of the websites, right? But if you don't have your own website, could you include like any other websites and just play around to see if you understand like what this graph means, what this percentage means, and so on?
Yeah, 100%. Even like when I was doing my master's, we were doing like a mock-up Google Analytics report.
Oh, could you walk us through a little bit more about it? That's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, so we had to like choose a website, a local business, and see how they perform. Obviously, you can't like exactly import the data, but you can see some stats. Also, there are like free tools or free trials on like, for example, HubSpot as well that can give you some data as well. So anything that has like some free trials, guys, go ahead, try it. And if you don't know what the different like insights means, you can always use like AI, ChatGPT to explain you, or any tutorials on YouTube. Like there are plenty of tools to explain what each of the things means and how you can use it, why it's important. So
to be honest, you just described exactly the way I learn things. If I don't understand something, I try it myself first of all, but if I don't understand something, take a screenshot of a thing that I don't understand, put it in the ChatGPT, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Moving to the next section, as for me, the most important one as well, because at the end of the day, Marketing Career Ladder exists to help students, postgraduates, and career switchers to land their first marketing job by providing them with like hiring signals, perhaps some networking skills, or as we're talking about this topic right now, tools and how not to be overwhelmed with them and how to get better at using them. I wanted to ask you, in a real case scenario, let's imagine a real job where there is a junior assistant who gets asked to use certain tool. What he usually gets asked to do with it in his first month, let's say. What was it like for you, for example?
So I had much more experience with design. So that was one of my first tasks, to start creating a content calendar. And any type of post for Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Then we moved to other type of promotional materials such as like posters or like infographics, just because that was the area that I was again more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Then they introduced email marketing just because that was some of the essential tasks that they wanted me to be able to work on independently. But obviously they explained to me again how to work with MailChimp, how they do the things in the company. And I think that's very important that when you start a job, uh, it really differentiates from the company you work in.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
The internal processes are very different. Even if you work in the same industry and you're just moving jobs, the internal processes will still be different.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you need to adapt to them.
What would you say the hardest part to learn? Is it something related to creative tools, or like as you mentioned, MailChimp, for example, like email automations or Google Analytics? Which one is the hardest one?
I wouldn't say the tools are the hardest one. My experience actually working in the environment of the corporate environment and be able to know who to ask for help
Yeah.
or for any information, insights, etc. It's harder than actually doing the job. Just because you're a marketer doesn't mean that you know everything and you know the
Yeah,
nature of the
absolutely,
business.
absolutely.
For example, if you work in an energy company, you still need the help of engineers to explain you how they do their job and what actually involves. You're not supposed to know that because that's not your job. Any type of tool, MailChimp, Photoshop, Google Analytics, Excel spreadsheets or
Yeah.
anything, you can find the information online. In a couple of weeks or a month's time, you'll be professional just because you start using it every day.
But if you would have to pick at least one,
Okay.
what would it be? Would you say Adobe Creative Suite is kind of hard to get around? Maybe Canva is hard. Perhaps MailChimp was kind of hard to learn, or maybe it's a Google Analytics because it kind of requires analytical mindset.
Google Analytics and Google Ads.
Yeah.
Just because the stakes are higher there. For example, Google Ads, you work with budgets, you need to segment your target audience, you need to know who are you advertising to, but also like which stage of the funnel you are. Is it the awareness stage? Are you like selling the products? What's the objective of the campaign?
Yeah.
Are you trying to get more leads, conversions, brand
Yeah,
awareness?
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, Google Ads, Google Analytics as well. I think.
So would you say if a student, for example, would love to stand out from the crowd of any other applicants, and if he could show and prove that he knows how to use Google Analytics with some past examples from his own project that he done, or maybe in uni, it's going to be really, really valuable for him? Or, okay, that's perfect.
100%, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So let's continue our topic. And I wanted to ask you, for example, a person wants to create a simplest output in 7 days' time. Let's actually separate them into the segments. And let's say like one person is more like on creative side, the other one is more on analytical side. Which platform should each of these people use?
So let's start with the creative side. Something to show that you actually have the skills and knowledge to do it will be a simple social media campaign, for example. What I would say is create a couple of visuals, trying to incorporate the brand color, the brand identity, the tone of voice of the company, and don't focus only on the visual. Obviously, that's important. That's what people notice first. But it's very important to show your logic behind it and your decision-making process. Why you chose to show exactly that thing, to promote it in this way, the taglines, how did you choose them? So you need to show the target audience that you understand it. You need to show how you're going to measure the results after this campaign, what exactly you're measuring, what's the goal again. In marketing, everything is about why are you doing it and how you measure
Yeah,
the
absolutely, of
success
course.
of it. So
Without the strategy behind it, it's going to be a flop.
yes, so as long as you can show this, it's perfect.
Amazing. And what about analytical part then?
It's pretty similar, to be honest. As long as you can show again how you're going to measure the traffic, for example, conversions rate, optimization, knowing the funnel process, the steps of the funnel, sorry. Again, just use any of the free tools and free trials, like HubSpot, for example, because you mentioned like SEO,
Yeah.
you can actually do a very good report with using like the HubSpot free trial and check all the keywords and like their traffic and which keywords to use for, you know, if you decide to optimize a landing page, for example, and make it more SEO friendly or write a blog post. So that would be a good way to show your experience in that.
It's actually quite nice that you mentioned trials as well, because usually they give like 7 days, I would say, to try it. And this 7-day proof task requires you 7 days. Please, guys, use it. Also, I wanted to ask you, if somebody wants to follow your work, where should they find you?
LinkedIn, probably it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Natalie Dimitrova. Yeah, I do post a lot there and try to be active or semi-active. To be honest, just working in marketing, sometimes it's very hard to keep attention to your own social.
Yes, I know, I've been through that as well.
Yeah, it's becoming like another full-time job.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah. Okay, perfect. To finish this conversation, I wanted to ask you one last question. If you could text 18-year-old self about getting hired in marketing, what's one step should you take in the next 48 hours?
Okay, let's try to connect with 18 years old Natalie. Try to immerse yourself in like marketing, read about marketing, follow the trends online. People think that even like scrolling on TikTok, for example, is pointless, but sometimes it gives you a good insight.
Exactly. Depends how you use it.
Yes, exactly. How you teach your algorithm to work. So if you watch a lot about like helpful videos online and around the area that you want to learn more, then your algorithm works and start showing more about that. So
it's a win-win for you.
Exactly. So I would say just try to learn as much as possible, connect with people as much as possible. Networking is something that people undervalue a lot as well. Part of being a marketer is actually understanding people and having this like psychology part of it. So the more you actually go out and communicate with different type of people in different roles, different seniority, it builds this profile bank in your head, and you know who you're actually marketing to. So it's helpful, and you never know who you'll be working with in the future. So you
absolutely.
People out there. So
yeah, you better start networking, guys, immediately. All right, thank you very much for coming in. And also, I'm connecting with all the marketers in Aberdeen. Could I get your contact?
Of course.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Alright guys, here are the 3 things from Natalie, and I want you to write this down. Tools simply don't get you hired, but the clarity does. If you can't explain why you made a certain decision, who is it for, and how you would measure it, then this is just a decoration. Here is your number 2. One change to your CV and LinkedIn that actually moves the needle. Use the specific keywords from the role you're applying for. The platform, the outputs, the deliverables they mention, match the job description. Number 3, and here is what you're doing this week. Pick one brand, audit their Instagram, and rebuild one of their posts in Canva. That is it. That's the task. Can you imagine, guys? It's that simple. Grab the template in the description and it will take you straight through it. And as always, one last thing. If you had only 48 hours to move closer to landing your first marketing job, what would you actually do? Drop it all in the comments, I read them all, and I'll catch you in the next one.